to another great episode of Real Life Matters, and I'm your host, DBoss. And I'm just encouraging everybody to like, subscribe, do the whole due diligence for my YouTube channel, and also for all the guests that come on. Everybody needs a little upliftment in their likes and their videos and their YouTube and their Facebook and their TikTok. So, I just encourage everybody to subscribe. Also, buy into if they have services or anything they have to offer. I'm just encouraging everybody to take part in that. But anyways, you see what I'm doing? I'm smiling. So smiling and laughter, it stimulates many organs. Laughter makes your oxygen rich, and the air stimulates your heart, lungs, muscles, and increases the endorphins that are released in your brain. You see all the things that laughing can do? So a good laugh has great short-term and long-term effects. So I'm just letting everybody know that keep laughing, keep smiling. You see all the things that laughing can do, and you're going to get a few of these things. There's a lot of things and a lot of benefits that you can get. But today we have a special segment going on. We have here RLM Spiritual Enlightenment Series, and that's with Miss Edie. She's a spiritual advisor, intuitive healer, life coach. So today she's going to be talking about creating beginnings. So we want to go into that and delve right into and find out how do you want to create a new beginnings, and she's going to let us know about all that. So with no other further ado, I introduce to you Miss Edie.
Thank you, Miss DBoss. How are you? Welcome to our fam.
We welcome you too. So I guess you heard about the laughing, how it stimulates your brain, right?
Absolutely. And even just smiling, like you can't stay sad if you're laughing. And I've never been sad after laughing, but I also know that you're right. Smiling is just shifting your whole energy and staying positive. So even just like in that moment when you're saying it, I'm like, I'm so grateful to be here. Like, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful gift to wake up today. And, so many things didn't work out yesterday, but we have a fresh start today. So it's exciting.
You can create a new beginning.
Yes, exactly. So DBoss, thank you so much, because I think we've loved all your questions and responses. So keep those feedbacks coming. And if there's anything specific you guys want, please let us know. This question today is for Sarah. So thank you, Sarah, for asking. How do you start something after everything else has just kind of fallen apart? You're kind of exhausted all the fumes in your tank of energy, or perhaps maybe you ran out of ideas. And so this is a really great topic, Sarah. So we made this one for you. So creating these new beginnings start sometimes by creating uncomfortable endings. And sometimes that just means acknowledging when it's enough, like when you're done. And what does that look like? What is that level of tolerance for you? That at what point will you keep enduring, keep struggling, or keep trying to make things, and this isn't talking about, waiting for that big breakthrough. These are circumstances that are perhaps tearing you down, or situations or relationships, jobs, maybe even like your schooling. If you're, focusing on a career and you've decided, what, now I want to try something different because that's what you're feeling guided to do. This is very different than giving up. But when you're finishing something, you allow that ending creates this beautiful opportunity for a whole new beginning. And sometimes we forget that. Thank you.
Well, some people don't think that because, like they think that when something ends, oh my gosh, that's the end all to be all. But, in this case, it's not. It maybe just ended. It's like, you keep adding logs to the fire, and then sometimes you just have to let it burn out.
Yes. Sometimes you're ready to move on to a new pit, right? Sometimes you have exhausted the funds or exhausted the resources, and you just need to take what you have, or you've burned both ends, right? Like you said, it's there's nothing left, and you finish, you enjoy the flame and it's out, and then now what? Right? And you're kind of left in this dark spot sometimes. But it's a really brilliant question, and it's something that's very common, right? We talked about blooming blessings. We've talked about manifesting miracles. So do check out our other episodes as well. But for this one's focus today, I kind of want to prepare you to just have a couple tools when you are really recognizing that there is an ending. there's something, whether it's a part of you that's no longer finding joy, right? The first question that was introduced to me not long ago is, does it bring you joy? And this can be items in your home. This could be items that you wear as accessories. What is it that you have around you, and does it create you joy? And this can be people, right? Like sometimes I know, okay,
Oh,
sometimes we love people and, they're around us and they're more of a sore sometimes because, we have some love and we have some pain. And at the same time, but you want to surround yourself by people who do make you happy. And this is where I want to bring that focus, where it's, again, learning our tolerances, learning our experiences, and having these new opportunities for us to allow this fresh start. So again, that starts sometimes with some painful endings because we don't want to settle and we don't chase, we attract. When we're using that master manifestor magnetic energy, you want to be able to pull these things in towards you. And sometimes by pulling it in, you also have to pull away. So that's where you're also recognizing that I don't want to keep pouring my energy in this direction. I want to, take charge of the steering wheel, because the vehicle of you is your life. And where are you driving this? What road are you taking? Is it going in a direction you want, or did you hit a dead end? And sometimes, those dead ends, like you said, are painful because they're things that you've wanted, and then all of a sudden it's a halting stop, and then that's not it anymore, or there's nowhere else to go from here. And we talked about that in the last one, that sometimes it's a really tough place to find yourself in. And I'm just grateful, Sarah, because this is a powerful energy and message to start here, because when we're creating these new beginnings for ourselves, you're also having to give yourself a high level of grace, because you also have to give yourself time to grieve, right? Every ending, whether it's some of us think of grief associated with death, loss, right? Endings are part of the same cycle. This can be grieving a job, right? It took me a long time to realize that all that frustration and pain I had was just grief for all the things that didn't work out. And I've owned several businesses and they didn't all go very well, but it was a painful lesson. And sometimes I also had to learn the painful lesson of when to stop pouring into something that wasn't pouring back into me. And that included relationships, that included other aspects. So in these beautiful lessons that we're doing, the point is also to give you some insight. And this is what I do with my clients. This is what I do on my lives. This is what we talk about, is cultivating new ways where, if you think about it, right, I grew up on a farm, so I make some weird references sometimes to construction and land, but it's also about like cultivating, right? Like every season there's that dead growth, right, from the year before or from the last season. So what do? They cultivate the soil so that it reintegrates it to get renutrified. So there's parts of you that you're kind of cultivating in order to sow new seeds. And when you're sowing these new seeds, you're allowing for those new beginnings, and blessings are able to flow into you when you're open to receiving and have accepted that this is a new direction. Now, it's scary, right? It's really scary. I know we've all started something new, and even putting ourselves online, even putting ourselves out there. These are things that we weren't qualified for. No one teaches you how to do these things. You have to have this level of courage and bravery to express yourself and to express who you are. And I think it comes in different ways. For some of us, it's through art. For some of us, it's through music. For others of us, it's through silence. Maybe it's in writing. Maybe it is simply just in our physical expression through dance and using our bodies. And there's just different ways that it manifests. And maybe it's in your voice. Maybe it's in singing. And sometimes, maybe you're a tap dancer. Like there's different types of expressions that are loud and proud, but also there's power in silence too sometimes, when you just get to stare at something and really wonder what was going on when they created that, right? So it's a fun one, DBoss, but I'm grateful that we get to talk about it. I have a question for you. What was something that you started that was a really tough new beginning, but it was something that you're happy that you did?
the show.
I knew it was gonna, but it's true, right? Look at where you are now, right? And when you
Yeah.
take the fact of all those other things that you did do and all those other stuff that you started, right? I'm sure we've all started in different places. I know I did. And then we're here today, and then it's allowing this opportunity for this new beginning. Now, do you have any perhaps insight of what you experienced in that moment when you made that decision to do this brand new adventure and take this new leap of faith?
Well, I had, I was a little, I didn't feel any way. I just said, you know what, this is something I'm going to do. And when, the name, when I came up with the name, and well, God gave me the name for Real Life Matters. And
Yeah.
that was some years ago. And then what happened is that I did get the name. I got the name. And then then after I started it, and then what happened is I got sick. So, I had to put it down for 2 years, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my God. How am I
Wow.
gonna come back? I'm gonna come back from that. But I
Yes.
did. And
Proud of you.
that's something of a new beginning. I had to just put it down and then come back. And
Yeah.
that's what
And
I did.
that's an awesome share, because that's also like kind of a false start, right? Like you
Hmm.
started it fully ready to go, and then boom, something came in and then deflated that tire, right? And then we have to put more air, we have to put more oxygen back into that tank. And I'm grateful you shared
And it
that
takes a lot. It takes a lot of
to get that
in the
momentum.
tank,
Yeah.
because you got a lot of naysayers, and you got all kinds of things and people buzzing around in your ears, and
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
And then
and you just don't know where you're gonna come from.
exactly. And especially when you're on platforms, and for anyone who is thinking of starting, like, we'll be the first ones to tell you, you have to develop a thick skin very quickly. And this isn't about you. It's about you also standing up for you and standing in your power and following what it is that you feel like is the voice that you are wanting to put out there. So creating that beginning of just trusting your guidance. Like you said, God gave you the idea. Same with me. Like, I know a lot of people don't believe in what I do because of different reasons, culturally, religiously.
Hmm.
However, I also saw what was going on in the industry that I didn't like either. So I wanted to bring a different perspective, because I wanted to incorporate faith, I wanted to incorporate personal development, and I wanted to incorporate all of the things that I know that God helped me survive, because through those experiences and by sharing some of that, we've helped so many people. And by being able to share my story, we've built a beautiful community of people who have the comfort in knowing that it's okay to express herself. But that's also hard, right? I'm sure with you too, when you speak your truth, there's going to be people who are convinced it's not. There's going to be people who convinced it's the wrong side of the truth, or they're going to have conflicting experiences themselves, or culturally there are other views, right? It's about the different vantage points. And so for
And
us
then
to
there's the haters' views.
yes. Oh, yeah. And well, hey, either way, good views or bad views, they're still watching us, right? So that's kind of the truth. But I've had a lot of that, and especially because I'm a Catholic tarot reader, which is the most controversial thing I can ever say. And at the same time, that's why I started what I did, and that was my big beginning, because I left I wanted a career in law enforcement, I wanted a career in justice, I wanted a career that was very different. So I have 2 university degrees, and I'm reading tarot online now and helping people go through the most painful experiences in their life, which are creating new beginnings. Because you
Hmm.
don't seek guidance when you're winning, right? You don't seek guidance when you got it all figured out. You seek guidance when, oh man, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go from here. And it's hard. It's very hard. And I'm just grateful that we have this opportunity to share that today. So Sarah, this question was really powerful, because how do you start over when you've depleted your resources, when you're physically and mentally exhausted? And myself too, this past year, like DBoss, like you said, it took you out for 2 years. This past year for me, I had a lot of loss, and it was
Hmm.
painful. And then I had the best year in terms of growth for the pages, growth for my platforms, growth for the message, growth for just seeing everybody around me winning. And even also my own success full moments were also contrasted by some really painful ones. And we're going to talk about that in another episode. But why we're introducing it to you is because it's really important. Sometimes the most painful things have to happen because they're disguised blessings. And these blessings sometimes are removing us. It's divine protection, it's divine redirection. So when you think you're being derailed, or you think that everything's going against you, there might be a reason why you can't continue that path anymore. Maybe you can't continue with that person, or maybe you can't continue because of the people who are trying to come with you, that God doesn't want them to be in that season. Or perhaps they
Right.
can't be in that season because you're the one doing the work and they're just pretending. So this is a very important part for you to also discern and distinguish and trust your intuition when it's time for you to walk away in a relationship, when it's no longer serving you, in a job when it no longer aligns with you. And sometimes you have to learn things in these places. So looking at it as a growth experience, a lesson, right? Lesson, blessing, or just something that you needed to incorporate for yourself. You're building this muscle. And to get really good at starting over, you have to get really good at letting things end. And it's not just about quitting. Okay, there's a big difference. A lot of people give up on stuff, and sometimes they give up right before their big break, but they'll never know. And it's not about staying in something so long that you've lost everything trying to invest into something that really wasn't going to go that place, and knowing when it's time to stop. So, how do you find that balance? How do you find that place? And it's also about making sure that when you're starting this new beginning, you're incorporating those lessons, you're incorporating those experiences. So for myself, I did several MLM businesses before I opened my own company, and it took a really long time for me to learn the different tools, the different strategies, what worked, what didn't work. I saw what worked for this person but it didn't work for me, or vice versa. And that was what I incorporated. So when I started my own thing, and DBoss, for you too, right? You learned so much in your years of experience through failures, and it's only a failure if you're not using it to facilitate this new on understanding, the wisdom, the knowledge that comes from that. And sometimes it's the wisdom and knowledge what not to do. And that's a painful lesson. That sometimes it's an expensive lesson too. So that's a really
So
great.
people do come to you for those, for if they want to do something, a new beginning also, right?
Absolutely. I coach everyone from career to relationships, from even just personal situations, because a lot of the situations that people don't recognize is part of the burden that you're carrying is the trauma of what happened. And it manifests in so many different ways. And I know culturally and socially things are kind of a little overused and misdirected. But the point is that sometimes you don't know how to start over. And the reason why is because you got where you were because your resources, your mindset, your paradigm is the only way that it knew that, right? Like some of us are doing the same thing our parents did. Some of us are doing the same thing our cultures expect us to do. Some of us aren't doing those things that our soul and our heart are calling us to do yet. So you're not really doing what you love. And when you're not doing what you love, it's not fun. You're not enjoying every moment. And that inspiration, that shift from like, oh, I have to go to work, to yes, what am I doing today? Because now you're in charge, right? And that's that
Okay.
creative force. And it's a big change. And that's even an ending, right? Ending that like dragging yourself out of bed. It's Monday, or it's Monday. We're starting over. And not everybody wakes up like that. Don't get me wrong. You still gotta make that. But that's also maybe a new habit that you have to develop. And that's why we've got so many beautiful positive communities that you can plug into. Even on Facebook, we just started a new one as well. It's for healthy, new free living, and just giving yourself this beautiful new perspective. And sometimes it just is learning different ways, right? There's not a one size fits all. And it's great for us to try different things, because you might learn something new. And you can keep telling yourself, I'm going to do this one day. Perhaps it's healthy changes, right? We're doing a diet challenge, right? And it's not about losing weight, it's about eating healthier and making more positive choices, or perhaps implementing some good resources. And that is maybe not common knowledge to someone who didn't grow up in a culture where that's being taught or put into the meals, because it's just cook what you have. And so that's a different experience for a lot of people too. But the reason why it's so powerful is because you can keep telling yourself, I'm going to do it one day. One day I'm going to get back into the gym. One day I'm going to get back into school. One day I'm going to get back into that business. Or you just make that decision. And today is day one. And instead of
Okay.
pushing it, you're making that choice to create that new beginning now, because it's the power of the now.
Okay. Well, that's something with the now is the now, but now we've come to an end. thing. So if you want to get in contact with you, is if you're having a little bit of struggling and you're not too sure if you should maybe start this new beginning or stop, you can reach out to Miss Edie. So Miss Edie, can you tell people where they can reach out to you at?
Absolutely. Thank you again, DBoss, for having me. But if you're looking for any ways to get private coaching with me, perhaps even check out some of my upcoming events, there is my website, missedie.com. And please only use the resources and links that are provided on my website or on my social medias. A lot of people do pretend and impersonate me. So just to keep yourself safe and aware, do make sure you're only using the real pages and the real Miss Edie. So thank you again for being here. And I look forward to helping you guys and even just plugging into my free resources on YouTube, getting some guidance and checking out the live shows and content. If it's not for you, that's okay. But I want you to also always keep an open mind, because you'd be really surprised where God presents the biggest information that's going to help shift your day every day. So always keep an eye out for that. Thanks, DBoss, for having me again.
Well, thank you, everybody. And, go ahead and you guys follow Miss Edie. And, and also remember to keep smiling, keep laughing. It's a new beginning. Maybe you've never started laughing. So that could be part of your new beginning also.
I love that.
Okay. All right. So I do want to thank Miss Edie for coming here. And I really want to thank the viewers for tuning in to Real Life Matters tonight. So everybody, so good night and bye for now.